Let's go to a program that you're actually somewhat high on, much to my surprise. Talk to me about the Wake Forest Demon Deacons and Jake Dickert crossing the country, coming from the Palouse to Winston-Salem to save the Baptists.
Yeah, I let me temper some expectations here. By high on Wake Forest, I think they could be a surprise bowl team as a ceiling. I think they could get to 6-6. I'll talk about their schedule here in a little bit, but yeah, Jake Jigger coming over, a guy that you think of Washington State and you think of the high flying offense, but he was the defensive coordinator before he took over the head coaching job there. Had some really nice defenses at a place where it's really difficult historically to play defense. I want to give a hat tip to one of our favorite shows, The Solid Verbal, because they pointed this out. He has spent one season as in his entire coaching career east of the Mississippi River.
Wow.
And I think that's just a hilarious thought. He's been a West Coast guy his whole time, and that's just really interesting to me. It's going to be really interesting to see how he can adjust to another side of the field. But on the field, I like his coordinator hires. Rob Easel from South Alabama is the offensive coordinator. Scott Hazelton had some up and down times at Michigan State when he was there. They definitely had some dealing with some difficult talent situations, to put it lightly, towards the end of his time at Michigan State that I think kind of soured on her. But earlier in his time, they were really good on the defensive side of the ball. The quarterback battle going to be really interesting. Whoever they do pick, it's going to be a dual threat guy. They're going to run for a lot of yards from the quarterback position. Robbie Ashford is kind of the leader in the clubhouse. SEC fans know Robbie Ashford from Auburn and South Carolina. Mitch is kind of just grimacing at this point, and I kind of agree. I personally, for my bowl-bound Wake Forest take, I hope that somebody else can unseat him, but I think he is going to start the season as the starting quarterback. The other options are Deshaun Purdy from Charlotte, guy that put up some nice numbers for the 49ers last year. I kind of hope they just start, try to do what I like to do on College Football 25, and that's find a talented freshman with some wheels and just let him go and let him make some mistakes and just kind of build around him for the future. That guy is Steele Pizzella, excuse me. Amazing name, right? And he also, according to Phil Steele, ran a 10-4 100-meter this spring.
Gosh.
So dude's got some wheels. Personally, just for the memes and the just fun potential of Wake Forest, I kind of hope they go with him. I hope he gets a lot of time. On a more serious note, though, they bring back 1,000-yard rusher in Damon Claiborne.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's who the offense is going to build around. It. Like I said, I think they have the potential to run for a lot of yards. They're going to play with a lot of two tight end sets. They're kind of trying to build the receiving core with baling wire and duct tape, and they brought in 9 transfers to try to figure that out. So going to be a lot of 2 tight end sets. That's going to be kind of the skill set that they rely on. And they lost all 5 offensive line starters. So that's going to be something that they're trying to put together on the fly as well. But again, got some good pieces in the portal. Wake Forest is reportedly upping their NIL spend. That's something that the previous staff just didn't really get to benefit from. And they're kind of rallying around Jake Dickert. I like him as a coach. And if they can figure out a few things on offense, I think the defense has some fun pieces too.
Yeah, shout out to First Baptist Winston-Salem for passing the plate a little bit and getting some funds in the coffers.
They looked over at Liberty and were like, "Hey, if they can do it, we should be upping our game as well."
That's right. Hang on, we have Sunday morning stream services. We can figure this out. Yeah, you mentioned the 5 new starters on the offensive line. That's the biggest thing that gives me concern about building this offense around a running game. It's going to take some time for that to get up and running. I am just begging the college football deity to anoint Deshaun Purdy as a starting quarterback. I'm sure Robbie Ashford is a delightful young man. I am really tired of watching him play quarterback on Saturdays. So politely, I would like to pass on that opportunity.
He's not going to get you to turn into the CW at 11 a.m.
I can't say that he is. Again, no disrespect intended, but oof. Defense needs to improve. 113th in scoring last year. They gave up over 32 points a game. 117th in total defense as well. Opponents were clipping them to the tune of 435 yards on average a game. You did mention a couple of nice pieces. Nick Anderson is the team's leading tackler. He comes back at safety. He actually led the entire ACC in tackles with that 122 mark. So good for him. So, okay, let's go to the schedule, Mr.
Well, hey,
Bulldown,
want
Wake
to shout out
Forest.
a couple of their portal additions on defense
Okay.
too,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
real quick. They got a couple really fun defensive ends, and Gabe Kershke from Colorado State and Langston Hardy from UConn. Kershke had 6.5 sacks last year for the Rams. I think both guys could be a really good boost to that pass rush and hopefully help the defense.
Pass rush would help, especially on the back end. Anytime you got a secondary that's just dying on an island,
Yeah.
first fix is getting to the quarterback,
And
right?
just 20 sacks last year. So that's
Yeah,
obviously something that could go way up this year.
sure. So as I look at their schedule, I see three assumed wins. I've got wins over Kennesaw State, Western Carolina, and Delaware. Tell me where you find the other three.
Listen, again, this is like a ceiling type pick, and it's if everything goes together. Of the teams towards the bottom, I think they are most likely. I like Kennesaw State. I like Western Carolina. I'm a little lower on NC State, and they get them at home. That's on a Friday night. I think it could be a spot to jump up and get somebody, get a surprise win there. But really, I think this is going to come down to the game at Oregon State, the game at Virginia, and then Delaware at home towards
Mm-hmm.
the end of the year. I think those are the swing games on the schedule in addition to NC State. Obviously, they have to sweep all four of those if they want to make it to a bowl, but I like that NC State's at home. I like that Delaware, a team that I'm a little higher on, they're making the jump to the FBS, obviously. That game's at home as well. And if that transition isn't going super well, it's towards the end of the year, so they can have a little that in their back pocket. Those road games, though, at Oregon State and at Virginia, that feels like it's going to be a must-win game for Tony Elliott and Virginia.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about them here in a little bit, so that's going to be a little bit. And I done my Oregon State interview already, and that's going to drop on the channel next week. But I think that could be a spot where Oregon State is a little vulnerable as well if a couple things don't go their way. So again, to recap, they have to win they have to go like 4-0 in some swing games that I have circled on the schedule. But if they can go 2-2 in those and just replicate 4-8, maybe steal a third one somewhere, go 5-7, I think that's a fantastic year one for Jake Dickert.
Right. And again, another one of those teams that success is outside of the win-loss column, right? You're trying to build something. Dave Clawson's obviously a legend, a very unique offense. You're moving away from that. And yeah, I think as long as Dickert can find his identity out east and start to weaponize that NIL machine and get some nice recruits playing for the Deacs, why not? Wake Forest has been a fun team, a plucky team in years past. I know that was pre-NIL and transfer portal, but still, the Sam Hartmans of the world certainly made their mark on college football starting for Wake Forest. So I'd love to see him recreate that.